Happy astrologic New Year. And I'd like to use this time to bring forward some ideas on the subject of the New Year from the astrologic viewpoint. Most people recognize the New Year to begin January 1st, smack dab in the heart of Capricorn. For ordinary people, that's fine. However, for the purposes of those who are spiritually progressing, the most proper time to commence activities in the spirit of the yearly phase or cycle of creation, then this particular time is the proper time over that of the densest most material time of the year, which is represented by the sign of Capricorn. This is truly, at least in this temperate zone, a time of action, a time of movement, a time of decrystallization rather than crystallization, which is the keynote to the Capricornian phase. This is the time when the ice melts, when things that have been frozen melt or break down. Therefore, this is appropriately the time to begin anew. Although not much has been stated in the past relative to direction as to progression, when we look at the astrologic phenomena, or we look at the phenomena of time, a point should be brought up for all individuals concerned, whether or not they are moving forward along the time track in terms of the zodiac influences, or moving backward along the time track in terms of the precession of the equinoxes. Now, although it is understood by esotericists and astrologers that we are entering the age of Aquarius, having passed from or passed through the age of Pisces, here the understanding is that we are, as a solar system, moving backwards through the signs. And it's this backward motion which, for the most part, has the greatest impact upon the masses of humanity, upon the material worlds, which, from the point of view of reality, operate in reverse from the spiritual itself. The spiritual is, from the point of view of matter, upward movement, progression towards light, whereas what is material is progression towards darkness, going back to the earth, so to speak, rather than moving upwards towards the sky. So it's important to look at these cycles, these wheels of time, as each individual has an opportunity to mark their own time in their lifetime. Is one progressing in terms of moving directly through the signs as they progress from Aries through Taurus to Pisces, or are individuals regressing as they move through signs, going apparently through time and space and moving from Aries to Pisces directly instead of through Taurus, which is the direct way, going backwards from Aries, Pisces, Aquarius, as we are going through in terms of ages right now, moving backwards. Okay? Or we appear to be moving backwards. So it is important to be able to mark time carefully and consciously. It's not so much the matter of having the exact time when such a sign goes in, but having an approximately exact time relative to the seasons, this time, the springtime, but knowing exactly what to be done with that particular approximation of time, to know what is supposed to be accomplished at this time. And so for spiritually unfolding individuals, this time marks, which is typical of the sign of Aries, a time of initiation. Therefore, we must all be relatively initiated or self-initiated by the solar energies, the soul energies, the awareness energies, to recognize what the truth is of our placement, our direction, and what our goal is in terms of this life mission. Aries marks the time of beginnings. And for ordinary people, it's just spring. The year does not necessarily begin at the time of initiation for the ordinary man. For those who are spiritually unfolding, who understand the naturalness, the inevitability, the eventuality of this process of initiations in and through time cycles as it pertains to spiritual unfoldment, then Aries becomes or is a very, very critical period for each and every one. It is a time where all thoughts concerning one's spiritual progression, one's life intention, one's ultimate goals have to be brought forward. This is a time to commit yourself, if you will, to understanding in idea form at least what you intend to accomplish not only this cycle, but use this Aryan period to represent any Aryan beginning, any beginning whatsoever. Now is the time to consider putting out seeds or working with seeds of enlightenment. It should be the time of the divine idea, the first urge to be what? Free. That's what the sprouts are saying. That's what the animals are feeling right now. They're free to move. And by all means, each individual should consider their freedom in terms of their spiritual consciousness. That is the significance, if there is any, on the spiritual side of this particular phase in time and space. Aries, in essence, is a command to arise and be free. Move towards the enlightenment consciousness. And to the degree that one realizes or recognizes that in the present, in terms of this time cycle, the new year, then the individual is doing what, in fact, they have incarnated to do. And that is to recognize as well as to be able to maintain as much momentum as possible in the spirit of enlightenment. And with this in mind, it seems appropriate to state that at the beginning of every sign this coming year, I will give talks to initiate the energy of that sign. This being the first one. in terms of the Aryan energy, working with all the urges and the forces, raw forces, the raw powers, the primitive self, and aligning it as much as possible with the higher self. Therefore, this marks a good time to fast, to break the body down, to deal more with the primal energies, to purify the physical body from the point of view of allowing light to flow into it in order to heal it. And therefore, this time of Aries is a good time to consider such purification, at least on that level. And it is a time to practice aligning the emotions with a higher thought. Aries is a time of thought, pure thought, not only raw, uncontrolled urges, as the Aries energy does manifest itself as in the physical or lower kingdoms of consciousness. Aligning all feelings as well as the body with the higher thought or the ideal thought or the thought of the idea or the divine idea, whether it's Buddhic realization, enlightenment, God consciousness, soul awareness, liberation, self-realization, whatever it is. Love, happiness, freedom, truth, spirit. That is what this time is about. That is the practice of this particular phase of 30 days. From the point of view of karma, forget the past. Understand it to be what was, and to the degree that what was serves the enlightenment of what is, then it is useful. To the degree that it stands in the way of what is in terms of enlightenment, absolutely throw and transcend the past completely. Throw it away. Then the phenomena of time in terms of recurring cycles, having the opportunity again and again and again to start with the truth is useful. Then this matter of astrologic practice becomes truly sympathetic and appropriate for one's spiritual practice. Working with time is not merely a game. It must be made a conscious process. When you consider the fact that this is the only time you have, absolutely the only time you have, then it becomes obviously critical to use this particular time as it is, which is precious, in order to attain the highest realization possible. You can't hang out and hide on this planet. You have to work. And not just 9 to 5. You have to work during all the time that you're conscious. And one of the best ways to use this time is to engage in the natural processes as they have been given to each as a cyclic gift of this dimension relative to this temperate zone, where the seasons manifest the way they do, unlike the way they are at the Arctic regions. We have incarnated comfortably into a seasonally changing circumstance, and we must be in tune with it in order to serve our purposes. And the zodiacal belt and its phases and its mysteries serve to make this process much more enjoyable and much more enlightening if it can be utilized in the right spirit. Therefore, may we put all of our best efforts forward from this time on to not merely be limited by the seasonal or zodiacal clock, but to utilize the opportunity of such a mechanism to further our purposes in terms of attunement, yes, attunement to the cycles, both natural and psychic, as implied by time, and utilize this to its ultimate. Then there will be no regret whatsoever this time around as to how one and to what degree one used their time relative to their need for enlightenment. May we all be blessed with ongoing guidance, and may we always be grateful for whatever it is that is our round and our due this time around. And may the great Buddhas or the great Buddha be pleased to guide us in these ways and in its ways. Hunam.